U.S. Department of Labor. I call it a bombshell because if you don't understand what the 72-hour rule is, you've got a huge problem. Huge problem. If you're not ready for an audit, you need to be, because it's not a matter of if, it is when you're going to get a disgruntled employee that's going to call the U.S. Department of Labor. And when they come in hard. Sometimes you've got to worry about your present employees, not your past employees. And sometimes the ones that complain are the ones that are robbing you. Okay? We had an employee that complained to the U.S. Department of Labor about not being paid overtime. That's the number one issue. And you now have lawyers that are on TV advertising overtime, 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 especially in dental practices, okay? So we found out through an audit that the employee that complained about overtime was forging her overtime numbers. Go explain that one. Okay? So you get a nice letter. And unfortunately, we couldn't, I wish I could, usually when I speak, I got handouts on top of handouts. So if you want a copy of the letter that we hand out at other speeches, I'd be glad to do it. But it's a very detailed letter, and it states that they are enforcing the Fair Labor Standards Act, the Family Medical Leave Act. It's a 5-page letter. Davis-Bacon Act, the McNamara-O'Hara Service Act, Consumer Credit Protection Act, Employee Polygraph Act. Federal laws, not an option. So within 72 hours, okay, within 72 hours of getting that letter, you got to produce every tax ID number you have. You have multiple offices, you got multiple entities. You got to produce it. You got to produce the names of your officers, branch locations, annual sales for the last 3 years. I got clients that can't find their records to save their life. Okay? I got clients that can't get their CPAs to produce them when they need it. So you've got 72 hours to get all this from your CPA or your payroll company if they call you back. It's serious stuff. Tax returns. How many of you can find your tax returns like that in 72 hours? Not many. Not many. Total number of employees. Copy the Family Medical Leave Act. If you don't have 15 under, you're okay. But now you got to tell the government that I don't have to comply with it. So you got to tell them you don't have it. You got to list all your employees for the last 3 years. I've got clients that is like Delta. They got associates, they got staff coming in and out like there's no tomorrow. I don't know how they keep track of their employees. I mean, I've had more decks shuffled in practices to save my life. I don't understand. So within the 3 years, we've had them go back as far as 5. You got to produce names, addresses, phone numbers, job descriptions. How many of you in your employee manuals have job descriptions? Okay, not many. Work permits. Payroll registries. Timesheets, if you can find them. Payroll records. Time punch cards, if you can find them. If you can't produce them, then they come to your office. And they start taking information like your servers, like your computers. So in our handouts today, again, I apologize for not being able. Oh, you know what? Okay. So a week ago, March 15th, a week ago, our client got a letter that was hand-delivered to them on the same day that the letter was dated, saying that they are coming into their practice and inspecting their records, everything here, within 72 hours. They gave them exactly 17 minutes. They just came in and said, I want these records. Imagine what that will do in your practice if that occurs. You want to talk about a shutdown for the day and reschedule patients, you got it. So what do? You got to train your staff on employment matters. You got to have a policy for overtime. You got to have a policy how to handle audits. You should have in your manual or part of your employment practices that there is no overtime unless it is approved in writing. If that is not in your manual, then I will assure you will never survive an audit. Now, one sentence. Record keeping. Work with an attorney and CPA on your protocols for your office accounting. Okay? Your CPA has got to understand what entails an audit with the Department of Labor. Some do not. Some have no clue. Some ask me, what do we need to do? So I tell my client, you need to hire another CPA. Okay? Document. So what happens is they'll give you a list of what they need. So my clients usually will give me a paper bag and a box of documents. They give them everything they don't ask for. If they ask for A, B, and C, why would you give them C, D, and E? Okay? If I'm not involved in the audit and you get a letter like that, don't give them more than what they ask for. Like a trial, I'll tell my clients, if I'm asking you questions, elaborate. If they're asking you questions, only answer the questions. So investigators tell me that everyone throws in the kitchen sink. They give them everything they don't ask for. Once you give one piece of information that they're not asking for, you just open the door for a further audit. And the last thing you want is those guys in on an audit. Prepare, organize. You can't give them garbage. So investigators tell me we get clients, or we get people that will just give us paper bags worth of documents. How do you know what you're giving them? Okay? When we do it, we send in binders. We give them spreadsheets. We'll tab and index, so I have a record of everything that goes out to those investigating agencies. Otherwise, if I give them everything, I've got no idea what I'm sending them. Okay? You can't just send them a stapled binder or two-hole punch either. Document what you have and organize it, spreadsheets. The last one we did, we calculated that our client probably owed about $80,000 in overtime. They went deep. Okay, they went deep. We gave them spreads. I knew exactly what our exposure was before I gave them the final package. So through the process of cooperation and everything else, we made the investigator's life easy. He said, I'm just going to find your client 6 months back. That's all I'm going to do. He says, I want her to pay $8,000. I said, done. You'll have a check tomorrow. That's what you got to do.